So, what if you could completely flip the script on someone who thought they could just throw you away? In this explainer, we're diving into the psychological tactics that can make a narcissist seriously regret ever thinking you were replaceable.
Just imagine that for a second. The very person who made you feel worthless is now completely obsessed with the thought of you. Now look, this isn't about some petty revenge. It's about understanding the deep psychological triggers that flip the power dynamic right back to you. So if you've ever been made to feel small, this is about taking back your power.
We're going to walk through 6, count them, 6 very specific tactics. I want you to think of this as your own personal playbook. Each one is precision engineered to hit a different part of that narcissistic ego.
And it's so important that you see these for what they are. They're not weapons for revenge. They are psychological tools for you to reclaim your power. This is about you rewriting your own story from one of pain to one of absolute strength. Let's get into it.
Okay, our first tactic. It might be the simplest, but it is by far one of the most powerful. The disappearance. Its power is in its absolute, deafening silence. So what's the psychology behind this? Why does it work so well? Well, it's a little thing called the psychological reactance trap. It's a cognitive bias that is hardwired into all of us. When something we had is suddenly taken away, our desire for it just skyrockets. By vanishing, you are using this fundamental human impulse to your advantage.
And here's how you do it. It's a simple 3-step process. First, you go full no contact. No texts, no calls, nothing. Second, you block them on every single platform. And third, and this is the hardest part, you maintain absolute silence. See, a narcissist expects you to chase them. They feed on it. When you give them nothing but a void, that void quickly fills up with their own regret.
Now for our second tactic. This is where we shift gears. You're moving from just being absent to actively shattering the false image they have of you in their head.
We call this one the cognitive dissonance bomb. You know that uncomfortable feeling you get when you believe two things that totally contradict each other? That's cognitive dissonance. And you're about to create a massive dose of it in their mind by showing them a new reality that completely clashes with what they thought they knew about you. Just look at the contrast here. The narcissist has you filed away in this little box. In their mind, you're weak, needy, easily replaced. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to create a new reality that just blows that box to pieces. One where you are confident, successful, and absolutely thriving without them. When they see this, their brain just can't handle it. The two images can't coexist, and that internal conflict will eat away at them.
Tactic number 3. This one is all about mastering the art of the non-reaction. It's about emotional control.
This is what we call weaponized indifference. You have to understand, a narcissist's ego is like a fire, and it needs fuel to burn. And guess what the fuel is? It's your emotions, your anger, your sadness, even your love. When you strategically give them nothing, when you're just indifferent, you are actively starving that fire. You're cutting off its fuel supply, and their ego starts to collapse.
So what happens when they try to pull you back in? Because they will. It's called hoovering, like a vacuum cleaner trying to suck you back into the drama. They'll send a text, they'll try to provoke you. So how are you supposed to respond?
With this, one single, boring, emotionless word, okay. Or, you know what's even better? Absolute silence. It gives them nothing to grab onto. No drama, no anger, no satisfaction. To them, this lack of emotional fuel is absolutely devastating.
All right, let's move on to our fourth tactic. This is where you transform yourself from being readily available into a rare, valuable, and scarce resource. This taps directly into a core psychological concept, the scarcity principle. We are all wired to place a higher value on things that are rare or hard to get, and you are about to apply this principle to the most valuable asset you have, yourself. Your time, your attention, your energy, it's all about to become a very exclusive commodity. So how do you actually do this? You don't just pretend. You actually stop being available. You go out and build a genuinely full and exciting life. You find new friends. You set new, ambitious goals. You start radiating a whole new self-sufficient energy. And when the narcissist looks over and realizes you are no longer just waiting on standby for them, that fear of losing you for good becomes incredibly real. Let's dive into tactic number 5. Now this one is a bit more direct. It's about using their own favorite methods right back at them. A little bit of psychological jujitsu, if you will.
This is all about mirroring their tactics. Specifically, you're going to replicate that infamous push-pull dynamic they probably used on you. You know, that hot and cold pattern? They give you affection, then they withdraw it, creating this insane confusion and dependency. We're going to give them a little taste of their own medicine.
And the process is brutally simple. If they happen to reach out, you offer them just a tiny little taste of warmth, a brief, friendly reply. Then, just as suddenly, you pull away. You go back to cold silence. When they experience that same emotional whiplash they put you through, the regret and confusion will hit them like a ton of bricks.
And that brings us to the final tactic. Everything we've talked about so far has been leading up to this moment. This is the big one. This is the one that creates a permanent, lasting impact.
Tactic number 6 is the ultimate glow-up. And this goes way beyond just looking good or posting a nice picture online. This is a deep, fundamental transformation.
We call this the silent glow-up revelation. It's a total overhaul of your body, your mindset, your confidence, and your success. But here's the crucial part. It has to be genuine. This isn't a performance for them. It's a new reality for you. Because when a narcissist sees this new, unstoppable version of you, the person they utterly failed to break, their ego just shatters.
And really, this is the biggest takeaway of them all. The true goal of these tactics isn't revenge. The real power is in becoming so strong, so happy, and so successful in your own right that their regret isn't something you have to cause. It's just an inevitable byproduct of what they chose to throw away.
So, as we wrap this up, I've got one question for you. Now that you've seen all 6 of these psychological tactics, which one are you going to use first to take your power back?